least if it's gonna freeze, it freezes with the dog on there, so, I mean, that's pleasant.
Oh,
Hey,
Stephen.
Dan, where's your
No,
doggy?
he's better. Steven's thawed.
Well, I could go get her, but I think we're about ready to start, so.
All right, we are live on YouTube.
All right, and I think we have all the main players present, so I'd like to call to order the August 11th meeting of the Common Council. The time is 7 p.m. and the notices were mailed and posted appropriately. I'll continue with the roll call, which will be conducted by Hope, I
All right.
think.
Mayor Kim Smith,
Here,
Alderperson Tom Smith,
Here?
Alderperson Jim Olson,
Here.
Alderperson Dan Stevens,
Here,
Alderperson Diane Wolf,
Here,
Alderperson Stephen Knott.
Present.
thank you. Item 2 is the Pledge of Allegiance. We'll say the pledge to the flag of the United States. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Item 3 is the rules of the City of Onalaska Common Council and its subcommittees. This is a harassment-free forum. The City Council and subcommittee meetings shall be conducted in a courteous manner. Citizens, council, and committee members shall be allowed to state their positions in an atmosphere free of slander, insults, obscene remarks, threats of violence, or for use of the council or committee as a forum for politics. Sufficient warnings may be given by the Sergeant at Arms at any time during the remarks. In the event that any individual shall violate the rules of decorum heretofore set forth, such person may then be cut off from comment or debate. Thank you. Item 4 is public input. If there are members of the community that would like to address the Common Council, please state your name and address and limit your comments to 3 minutes. Is there anyone who would like to address the Common Council tonight? Is there anyone following the meeting that would like to address the Common Council during public input this evening? If anyone would like to address the council, now is the time. Please go ahead and address the council. It's the last call.
We do have one hand raised, J.M. DeWitt, if you have anything to say.
J.M. DeWitt, would you like to address the council? I am muted on your end.
Yeah, there's a message from J.M. DeWitt saying he is muted on your end.
J.M. DeWitt, can you talk now?
Now it shows us being muted.
now he's open.
They're not showing it muted.
Could you please try again? J.M. DeWitt?
Yeah.
Now we have another question down here. I am unmuted on my end, he says.
Is his question or concern short enough you can put it into a chat?
Francis Lee Edwards here, 2426 Thomas Court, just started on the Zoom call here.
Okay, it's public input. So Francis Lee Edwards, why don't you go ahead while we try to figure out what's going on with J.M. DeWitt.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate this time to talk. have concerns about the changing of the zones as it comes to dealing with the parcels just beyond Thomas Court. And we, at this time, have been included to listen to a proposal by Nick Roush of Roush Rentals to develop with promises of increasing the tax base of Alaska to possibly $30 million. With this to be shown yet in fruition, to be determined. I went to the Plan Commission on this, and I also attended the invitation by Nick Roush to the property in question. It seems that Nick Roush would want us to be good neighbors because we probably would be the ones watching over the property for him. We would definitely not let him know if he were pleased. I am open to the development with much reservation. Some of my concerns are that we brought up the TIF district idea and whether that was a viable option considered by anybody, and we don't think that it would be. But one comment at the talk with the developer brought up was that that isn't a viable option only if the property is not developable. And then it was dropped. And my idea is that possibly we should have asked the developer if he was going to ask the city for any financial assistance and what that would look like. I'm just kind of going over a letter that I sent in that some of you have maybe seen. And I sent it in later this afternoon, and I appreciate being able to highlight it, knowing that I only have 3 minutes. Another topic that was brought up was the possibility of a new exit out of the area for a double roundabout. I don't think that that's probably something that economic needs and resources would be able to support at this time, even though traffic is a major concern. I've heard that Thomas Court might have, the park might have a $60,000 upgrade to it. And I wonder what the financial assistance would be for single family dwellings provided to lessen the impact of people crossing their property, and if that would be put in writing. I know that sidewalks would probably be necessitated in installation for safety purposes. I am still concerned about the Thomas Court and opening that up because of fire. I'd like to know what the fire department says. I've seen them on my walks up there with the long crane ladder to see how far their water can be extended. And I'd like to know what their ideas or assessment and what evidence they base it on.
3 minutes.
Thank you. First, let me speak.
Yes, no problem, and thank you for your insights. And Mr. or Ms. or Miss J.M. DeWitt is stating that they are wanting to speak on the rezoning also. Would you like to try again, J.M. DeWitt?
Are you able to hear me?
Yes.
Oh, yay.
Yay. I'm so glad you got through. So one of our worst concerns is having meetings this way and then not being able to have public give input. So I'm thankful that we have it worked out.
We
Go
kept
ahead.
trying.
Please state your name and address, and you have 3 minutes.
So hi, my name is Jamie DeWitt, and I'm at 2418 Thomas Court. And I, like Francis Lee Edward, also attended the meeting when Mr. Roush was speaking. A very good speaker. He did a great job, but still had some concerns, and right now still oppose it. So some of the things that my concerns are is, like Fran said, the traffic, not only vehicle but foot traffic. What does that look like? And then we talk about a $30 million tax revenue increase, but Mr. Roush spoke to phases. So phase one would be one building, and he talked about 8 to 10 years. So that one building goes in. So what does the tax base now look like for one building versus all of them? Is that the full 30 million? Is it a portion? What does that look like? So just a lot of questions yet that I would need answered to feel comfortable to have it rezoned. So I just hope we can talk through that and figure that out for the community. That's all I have right now, and I will follow up with a letter as we continue to work through this and figure this out. So thanks
Thank you.
for your time.
Thank you. We appreciate your input.
Let's see
Is
if
there
I
any-
could mute.
Is there anyone else that would like to address the council? Does anyone have their hand up, Amanda? I'm not able to see that.
No, no one else has their hand up.
Okay, I'll do a last call for public input. I do see somebody who has something down here in questions. Oh, that was Jamie Dewitt. Okay. All right, last call for anyone who would like to address the committee. Okay, not seeing anyone. I'll move on to item 5, the report from the mayor. Item A is the appointment of Cindy Gens, 509 Oak Avenue North, Onalaska, to the Board of Zoning Appeals. I asked that the Common Council appoint Cindy Gens to the Board of Zoning Appeals.
I move that we appoint Cindy Gens to the Board of Zoning Appeals.
I'll second.
Motion on the floor by Diane Wolf, seconded by Stephen Knott to appoint Cindy Gens. Is there discussion? Alder Stevens?
She certainly seems to be extraordinarily well qualified based off of her history and her former positions. So it was nice to see her name submitted to the plan.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Not seeing any, we'll have roll call vote for this appointment. Hope?
All right. Dan Stevens,
Aye.
Stephen Knott,
Aye.
Jim Olson,
Aye.
Tom Smith,
Aye.
Diane Wolf.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Item B is the appointment of Stacy Wilk to the Onalaska Deputy City Clerk position. I would like to ask the Common Council to appoint Stacy Wilkes as the Deputy Clerk. Someone would like to make a motion?
I move that we appoint Stacy Wilk as the Onalaska Deputy Clerk.
I'll second.
Motion by Dan Stevens, second by Tom Smith to appoint Stacy Wilkes. Is there any discussion? This voting will be by roll call vote. Hope?
Alder Knott,
Aye.
Alder Wolf,
Aye.
Alder Olson,
Aye.
Alder Tom Smith,
Aye.
and Alder Stevens.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes unanimously. Next up, recommendations for approval and or possible action from the following committees, commissions, and boards. All items listed under the consent agenda are considered routine and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a council member requests removal, in which event the item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered in the order of business in the non-consent agenda. Are there any items the council would like removed from the consent agenda? I'm not seeing anyone. I'll ask one more time. Would anyone like to remove anything from the consent agenda? If not, I'll entertain.
I'll make a motion that we approve the consent agenda.
Diane seconds.
Motion by Alder Stevens, seconded by Alder Wolf to approve the consent agenda. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Those opposed say no. Motion carries unanimously. Moving on to the non-consent agenda, item 7 is a recap of items pulled from the consent agenda, of which there were none. So item 8, Finance Committee, I'll turn it over to Alder Stevens.
Thank you, Your Honor. Under item 8A vouchers, the following is a list of monies expended since the last Common Council meeting dated July 14th, 2020. And the total is $2,128,571.49. And we recommend approval.
Second.
A motion by Alder Stevens, seconded by Alder Olson to approve the vouchers as described. Is there discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Those opposed say no. Motion carries unanimously. Item 9, Judiciary Committee. I'll turn it over to the Alder.
So 9A is ordinance 1670-2020 to amend Title II of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Onalaska relating to government and administration. The only discussion that occurred on this in the A&J was to clean up the ordinances as relates to salary and expenses for upcoming elections. So under the alderperson's salary, this really reflects what we already discussed and voted upon in the past Common Council meeting, where the alderpersons after the April 20th, 2021, or the subsequent election, depending on the alderperson, because you cannot vote for your own pay raise, if you will, that the salary will move to $6,000 and we will eliminate standard expenses. Only extraordinary ones would be submitted then. And then also, more of the discussion that occurred under the Judiciary Committee was reference to salary of the mayor to bring that also in line. So commencing April 16th, 2024, the mayor shall be compensated $23,000, and the common expenses would also expire at that point. But until such a time as that occurs, we'll be under the previous understanding of salary and expenses. Those are the only significant changes that occurred there.
So will you make a motion, please?
I'd like to make a motion that we pass ordinance 1670-2020 to amend Title II of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Onalaska related to government and administration.
I'll second that. Tom?
Thank you. We have a motion on the floor by Stephen Knott, seconded by Tom Smith, to approve ordinance 1670-2020. Is there further discussion? Alder Stevens.
Thank you, Your Honor. I read in the minutes there was some discussion regarding potentially that the mayoral compensation was less, and there was discussion about making it whole from this year. Has there been any development on that?
Yeah. Oh, go ahead, Amanda. I'm sorry.
So basically, the mayor's expenses won't change until 2024. And so the mayor's salary and expenses will be the same. And then in 2024, the new salary will take place and the expenses will fall away. And so how we're going to capture the removal of expenses is through a resolution next month.
Okay, and I guess the follow-up is I want to make sure that the mayoral compensation is not less in 2020 than it was in 2019. So by making her whole, I'm just saying that we're not trying to have a decrease in the salary, which was not what the intention of council was last October.
Correct. So the only thing that would be changing would be the $100 COVID expense will fall off like it will for
everyone.
Everybody, but her expenses are $250 a month, and they'll remain $250 a month.
Okay, thank you.
But in regards to, my compensation hasn't changed from 2019, but I'm actually being compensated less than the previous mayor because he was receiving WRS contribution and I am not.
All right. That's something we can take up at a later date, I assume.
Well, no, we don't need to take it up. You just asked how it compared to 2019.
Okay.
So. Okay, so we have a motion on the floor to approve the ordinance 1670-2020. Is there further discussion?
Is-
Stephen?
I think you froze.
On the screen, it looks like he's thinking really hard.
No, I'm good. I froze up, but I'm good.
Okay, well, we waited till you came back, so thankfully. Okay, is this roll call vote, Amanda? For our ordinance?
Joanne, do we normally do a roll call for an ordinance? I don't believe so.
Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Back to you, Stephen.
Item 9B, ordinance 1679-2020 to amend chapter 4 of Title 6 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Algonquin, Alaska relating to sidewalks. There was only one discussion item on this in the Judiciary Committee. And it had to do with number 4G, where we talked about taking away from the original, I guess, language that was talking about preformed plastic furniture and outlining what the intent was. So now it actually says outdoor furniture will not be easily windborne. And then we've got i.e. plastic tables, chairs, lawn chairs, lightweight wicker. That is the only change that was made. I'll entertain them. I'd like to make a motion that we pass ordinance 1679-2020.
And I will second that.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor by Stephen Knott, seconded by Diane Wolf. Is there any discussion? Not seeing any. All in favor of approving ordinance 1679-2020, please say aye.
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 Those opposed say no. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Administrative Committee,
Yes, we have item 10A is approval of resolution 34-2020 to dissolve the Unalaska Art Commission. I'll make a motion and then we can discuss.
I will second that.
who had the second?
Diane.
Motion by Tom Smith, seconded by Diane Wolf to approve resolution 34-2020. Discussion? Tom?
Yeah, I would just like to say, we discussed this back and forth and we are dissolving the official Unalaska Art Commission, but it's going to come back in a different form. We're definitely supportive of the Art Commission and the artwork, but it was discussed that it would be easier for the committee and stuff not having to follow the more of the stringent rules of the city and all the things that go with that, that it was easier for the participants to find a way to handle that, kind of similar to what they did with the sculpture kind of thing. So that's the reason why we're eliminating this resolution.
Thank you, Alder Smith. Alder Knott?
Yes, kind of to caveat on what Alder Smith just said, this actually makes a more collaborative type of an approach to an arts input as opposed to the restrictive commission that we had.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to comment? Alder Stevens?
Thank you, Your Honor. As I was sitting on the Arts Commission, I would like to point out to the public that this is not us stepping away from a commitment to arts and culture in Unalaska, but rather we're trying to find a way to embrace it and to the wider public. We found we had the problem that somebody made a very generous donation and we weren't really able to accept it within the city function. And then any expenditures off of that would have to be voted on by city council. So I'm happy to announce that on September 15th, a new non-governmental agency that plans on working with the city council will exist. And there will be a preliminary meeting, and anybody who is interested in joining or getting more information, if they reach out to me, and I believe my phone number is on the website, I provide them the details. So we want this to be kind of open to the public, and we want lots of members to be involved and engaged in this project. And we have an agenda that we're pretty excited about laying forth and doing some good things for Unalaska. So it sounds bad eliminating an arts commission, but really we believe this is a good thing and it will be better for the city.
Thank you, Alder Stevens. Would anyone else like to say anything? Okay, I don't see any. The motion on the floor then is to approve resolution 34-2020. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Those opposed say no. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you for that.
Item number B is to discuss and possible action of moving the starting time of the Administrative and Judiciary Committee from 6 p.m. to 5:30, move it up. As I think most of you know, we meet the first Wednesday of every month at 6 o'clock, and then there's other meetings that follow. And the meetings sometimes have been taking longer than it pushes everybody else back to respect everybody's time on the different committees. The recommendation is to move the meeting up to 5:30, half an hour earlier. And we did talk to the committee members, and everyone that's on the current committee was supportive of moving this. So I'll make a motion that we approve that we start the Administrative Judiciary Committee moving forward from 6 p.m. to 5:30 p.m. When it meets.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor by Tom Smith, seconded by Stephen Knott, to move the start time of the Administrative and Judiciary Committee from 6:30 p.m. to 5:30 p.m. Is there further discussion? Not seeing anyone. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Those opposed say no. Motion carries unanimously. We have a new meeting time. Number 11, the Plan Commission. Item A, approval of a request to release a restriction on the Country Club Villas plot submitted by Garrett and Alyssa Giroux, 704 Country Club Lane, Onalaska, Wisconsin, 54650, to remove a setback restriction at 704 Country Club Lane, Onalaska, Wisconsin, 54650, tax parcel number 18-4962-0, and the associated resolution 36-2020 to reduce setback requirements for parcel 18-4962-0 in Township 16, range 7, section 2. It was a recommendation of the Plan Commission to approve this request.
I'll take this, Your Honor.
Amanda?
So the reason this is on the non-consent agenda is just kind of, it has a little bit of a unique procedural process and how we had to approve it. And so in order to change the setback restriction on the plat, we had to do a resolution, but we didn't procedurally do a resolution of Plan Commission because we didn't necessarily know what the will of the Plan Commission would be, if they wanted to eliminate it, reduce it, how they wanted to handle it. And so it's a new resolution, although it was approved, it's based on the approval that came forth from Plan Commission. So that's just why it's on the non-consent agenda, is because now there's a resolution that goes with it.
So the council would need to approve resolution 36-2020, and that will resolve the matter?
Yes.
Okay.
I'll make a motion. This is Tom, that we approve resolution 36-2020 is noted in 11A.
I'll second.
We have a motion on the floor by Tom Smith, seconded by Stephen Knott, to approve resolution 36-2020. Is there discussion? Not seeing any. All those in favor of approving the resolution, please say aye.
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 Those opposed say no. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Item B is discussion and possible action on the concept of the tax increment district number 6. And I believe I'll turn it over to Eric for this discussion and possible action.
Thank you, Your Honor. So I did put in the boxes 2 versions as we received them today. One dated August 7th, one dated August 11th of a project plan. Wish to reiterate, the conversation at this moment is meant to be open and informative, place for the council to ask direction. If you look at the first page, it shows a schedule for discussion of the TID number 6, and the first meeting is until August 25th. As I received the project plan, I thought it might be useful to be able to answer some of the questions, so I did submit them all to you. So first of all, I do want to apologize if anyone thought they had only a few hours to try to read the entire document and become experts at that. This document is not coming in front of council until September 8th, but I thought it'd be informative, and I can talk about some of the bullet points right there today. The council is not taking any action on the project plan itself. It's simply at this moment in time a tool that we can use to answer some of the conceptual questions. Again, looking at the schedule generally, the council does not really get involved until after planning commission and a public hearing is held and the joint review board is created for the district. But I thought being elected officials, you may want to have a say of reviewing the concept prior to any of that action is taken. And so now this is our second meeting that we've had regarding this. And again, it's meant to be informative. And if there's any questions that you have, feel free. Sean Lentz from Ehlers is also on the meeting and is available to answer any questions that you may have. Some of the questions that did come up, and I can use the project plan to answer some of those questions, is total cost of the projects anticipated with this TID. While that area for future development may require more, at this point, city staff's identified about $5.7 million worth of capital projects that would need to be done for this project. Some of those projects do not need to start immediately, however, until some of the construction phases of the plan are complete, which is 2025 and beyond. Quick note, if the developer were required to pay $5.7 million, the return on investments on the project would become such that the project would not occur at this point in time. And that was another question that came up. Another question is the use of increments with all the partners versus just general fund or just the city of Onalaska going it alone. I'll reference page 23 and 24 for those that want to flip through there. Again, using what I would consider conservative estimates, there is no automatic growth factor involved. For example, the incremental value of the proposed TID tax incremental district would increase by $62.6 million and would generate increments to be used to offset the $5.7 million in development cost after the full life of the TID of about $16.8 million. That $16.8 million is because the TID collects the increment from all the taxing entities without using TIF and just doing the general fund and using our current city-only tax rate of $5.63, which is about 28.5% of the total tax rate. We would only collect about $4.8 million over the same time frame using the same assumptions. So 4.8 to offset the 5.7 projects, which again is back the envelope calculation, would make just including all of these capital projects to be funded through the general fund unsustainable. Now the utility would take a portion of that one. I'm just using raw numbers here. Cash flow is another question that came up mainly because of if it all goes as planned, how soon can we close the TID district? Do we really need to go out the full 20 years? If you look at the cash flow, and this is something to change depending on as we move forward, but I would say 2034 seems to be the date that we could potentially close the TID early, would generate enough increment to offset the costs and the debt servicing on that. I know those were kind of the big questions that I recall. If anybody else has any other questions, again, Sean and I are available to take questions at this point in time. Again, no action on the project plan is necessary. It's just to get some guidance to see if this is worth going yet to the Joint Review Board, the Plan Commission, and a public hearing, or if it's something that you're opposed to and you need to put a stop to at this point in time. then we don't move on to those other meetings if that be the case. So again, we're here for any questions, and fire away.
Hey, Alder Stevens.
Thank you, Your Honor. First, I noticed that we had some folks from Thomas Court still with us, and I wanted to just reiterate that this was not a tax incremental district for the Century Place. This was something different. And then second, I wanted to get a better understanding of what are the expenditures. I know that we have some money invested in this with Ellers up to this point. If it goes to the say it goes through the joint review board and that does not get support, what is our total outlay? And if it doesn't get the support from the JRB, does that mean that the development will not happen?
I don't have, Sean, your price list in place, but I believe that the full outlay would be $1,750.
Okay.
Sean is muted here, Amanda. There he is.
Yeah, Eric, I think that's correct. We have the contract with the city in phases. So if you don't move forward with the phases, obviously the contract would terminate at that point. And I believe, I don't have that contract in front of me right now, but I believe the number that Eric mentioned is accurate.
And then the follow-up was if this does not get support, because there's other entities involved that would have a say, will that doom the project, or will it still happen regardless?
You'll need a majority of the joint review board. The joint review board is representative of the city, which would be mayor or mayor's designee. And likewise, the school board, in this case, this would be Pullman School District, the county representative, the tech school representative, and then a member at large that's appointed by the joint review boards. Need 3 of the 5 votes, or majority of those that are there that day to approve that. Without that majority, no, the TID district cannot be created.
Okay.
Thank you. Are there any other questions? I'm not seeing any other questions. So Eric, what do you need then?
Desirably, if there is either just a motion to proceed or a motion to, again, you're not approving the TID, you're not approving the project plan. The next steps would be going to the Organizational Joint Review Board and the public hearing at Plan Commission. It's fully up to the council who wishes to go on record saying, yes, we support moving it forward to that step at least. That'd be my preference, but no action is actually necessary. Those next steps will occur.
All right, Your Honor, I'll make a motion. So if our outlay, if we're only at roughly $1,000 for a potential nice development to the city, that seems like a good risk, and we've already spent that money anyway. So getting more information and seeing what the other entities level of interest in is, I see that as a no harm, no foul. So I will make a motion that we proceed with the possible action on the tax increment district number 6.
I'll second.
Thank you. We have a motion on the floor by Alder Stevens, seconded by Alder Knott, to move forward with the process of creating tax increment district number 6. Is there any further discussion? Alder Smith.
And I don't know if Fred's on or Eric, you can answer this, but I think when we discussed this once before, Fred was very curious on how this would work, because it's a little different than what we've done in the past with the city basically, funding this. Did we get the answer that we're looking for on that from that Fred was looking? Because you're very curious about proceeding just to find out how this would be different from what we've done in the past.
Yeah, I think Tom, I think the question was if it would affect our Moody's rating. Correct?
No, I don't think that was a question. I think he was just curious because we had never approached a TIF like this before, but maybe I'm thinking of something else.
The first 4 TIDs that have been created were of the similar nature, which I'll call traditional TID districts versus another option I'll call PAYGO, where, the brunt of the expenses, the developers forwarding, but in exchange of that, then, and taking the risk, the rewards of such a type of TID go to the developer then. So this is a more traditional one, which we have done in the past, whereas the city is fronting the costs, issuing the debts, paying for the cost infrastructure, and then paying back those costs through the new increment of the project.
Okay.
In this way. So we've done it in the past this way. In the past, it's my preference is to go PAYGO, but as stated, if the developer had to do the burden in addition to the land acquisition costs and what have you, the project would not move forward.
Okay, I just thought I remembered something, but I get it. And sounds like we're in sync then, yeah.
Yep. And Mayor Smith did bring, I do recall a question regarding the Moody's rating. And an actual impact we won't know until we actually pay for the rating and do the ratings call and provide all the evidence that we have for that. My general experience though with Moody's has been provided that there's a very specific reason for perhaps exceeding our usual debt amounts, and if that reason is for one-time purchase or for development purposes, and you can show how that's being paid off. It generally does not impact in a large degree, especially with the debt limits that we are at. We have a long way to go before we become problematic. I would not anticipate this project at this point in time causing any of that issue. The other thing that may answer that question is because the most of the expenses that we have don't occur 2025 or after, it is possible to start gaining some increment up front and having cash on hand to help fund those borrowings that we may have, which will look favorable for Moody's as well. And Shawnee, I know you have experience with that. Perhaps you can answer that question too.
Yeah, no, just real quick, Eric, I think you did a very good job. The development is typically considered a positive from the rating agencies, growth of the tax base, and some of the other benefits like new housing opportunities. But yes, managing the debt and being able to show a plan of finance that is covered by the revenues from this district will mitigate a lot of the concern, if any concern exists from Moody's about the level of expenses and obligations that the city has outstanding.
And let me just interject that just speaking was Sean Lentz, who's the representative from Ehlers, correct?
Yes, I'm sorry about that, Mayor. I should have
That's
introduced
okay.
myself. Yep. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so we have a motion on the floor to continue with the timeline for the tax increment district number 6. Is there any further discussion? Not seeing any. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. And thank you, Mr. Lentz.
Yes, thank
Item-
you very much.
Item 12 is Utilities Committee. See, that will be Jim Olson.
Thank you. Item A, Resolution 33-2020 for the Shared Ride Taxi Program in City of Onalaska, Village of Holman, and Village of West Salem for 2021. Make a motion we approve Resolution 33-2020.
I'll second that.
The motion on the floor is to approve Resolution 33-2020. It was made by Jim Olson and seconded by Dan Stevens. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Those opposed say no. Motion carries unanimously. Jim?
Item B, discussion and possible action on moving start time to Utilities Committee from 7 to 6:30 p.m. Any suggestions there? 6:30 might be tough for me. In some situations, but not most, probably.
Your Honor.
Eric's trying to talk.
Eric Eric
that-
is saying
Eric, you're on
something, but
mute.
he's muted. Eric's muted.
Okay.
Eric,
Unmute.
I'm
There.
here, sorry.
that's okay. Go ahead. Eric,
I missed the question, I'm sorry.
It was just a statement. I said, and in some instances, 6:30 might be difficult for me on that particular day. Most times, probably not.
I was having a tough time hearing that, Jim. I'm sorry.
Dan,
He-
Dan's got his hand up.
Okay, Alder Stevens?
Yeah, I know that, I guess I have a concern, being on both utilities and F&P. And I know the last couple months have been a little abnormal where utilities ran significantly longer than it traditionally has. With that said, historically, the Utilities Committee has been a very short run with some meetings lasting between 5 and 10 minutes. So especially if there was a time constraint with Alder Olson, I'm not sure that pushing it back to 6:30 is optimal. I understand the concern that we have with utilities. There's members from other communities from Holmen and Onalaska, and we want to be sensitive to their time. However, that issue was more of a product of A&J running a little bit longer than expected and us not being able to start one meeting until the other one had finished due to being able to record and put things on and Zoom abilities. So if A&J has moved up earlier, I think this is going to be less of an issue. My preference is to keep it at 7 o'clock, or failing that, maybe we could split the difference and do like 6:45 or 6:50.
Thank you, Alder Stevens. Let's go to Amanda.
I was gonna recommend that as well. When Fred and I had initially talked about this, we had discussed having utilities be at 6:45. If it is shorter, it would give everybody a short breather before F&P. And if it went a little long, at least we'd have more of a buffer. Because I do have a concern. I know traditionally it hasn't run late, but it has been running relatively late these last couple of months, that we're not really giving people appropriate notice for F&P. So if we could give a little bit more time for utilities, I would like that.
Jim, does 6:45 work for you?
Yeah, I
And
think
Diane?
that's reasonable. Yeah. Yeah, that's reasonable.
Okay, and Eric, our city administrator, would like to comment. Eric?
I know Alder Stevens mentioning that most of the meetings are indeed, 5 to 10 minutes, and we can knock it out there. But the last 3 I know have been, about an hour. So beyond A&J running long, then we have an exceedingly long utilities meetings as well, which is good to have. I mean, we shouldn't just try to have short meetings for the sake of having short meetings. If there's business to be discussed, we should absolutely discuss it. Which is why, adjusting the time frame, I'm supportive of that, because as Amanda said, if anybody just wants to go to the F&P meeting, or, we're sending notice out there that F&P starts somewhere after, 7:15, and it's after 8 before we start. Are we really giving public appropriate notice when it's 3 weeks in a row and it's been after 8 o'clock? So I'm supportive of adjusting the time, however that works out best for the members.
I think, if I may, 6:45 is a good compromise, and it seems that the city members are okay with that. So I'll make a motion that we adjust the moving start time to the Utilities Committee from 7 PM to 6:45 PM.
Second.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor by Dan Stevens, seconded by Jim Olson, to change the start time of the Utilities Committee from 7 PM to 6:45 PM. Is there further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please say no. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. We are up to adjournment.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion by Stephen Knott, second by Jim Olson to adjourn. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say no. We are adjourned. The time is 7:50. Thank you, everyone, for joining us tonight.
Thank you, everyone.
Aye.